Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, welcome into Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle will be with us shortly. John, the producer, getting things kicked off for us as Jim gets set up live from Big Ten Basketball Media Days in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's right. Yes, they are no longer having media days in the heartland of Indianapolis, Indiana. They decided to go all the way up north to the northernmost Big Ten schools state of Minnesota and have Big Ten Basketball Media Days. And we'll obviously talk about that with Jim as he comes in. With us, as always, Dustin Schutte from Outsider.com. How's it going, Dustin?
It's going great. I got my Braves gear on. I'm ready to go today, 1 o'clock. First pitch against the Phillies. I'm fired up for it. And we got basketball media days. We've got a great slate of Big Ten football this weekend. This is a great week to be a sports fan. The Pacers are in the preseason mode. I love this time of year.
It is that magical time of year. It only happens in 1 month out of the 12, I believe, where you get basketball, you get football, you get baseball, soccer. For those of you who like soccer, I know that's of us two. It's only me.
Correct.
And I'm looking forward, obviously, to the World Cup happening next month as well. So that's a whole different story.
Well, let me just say, it's not that I dislike soccer. I just don't understand it. And I just, it's the same thing for me with hockey. Like, if I go to a live game, I love hockey. I'm sure I would love soccer if I went to a live game. I just don't understand it, so I'm not going to sit there and watch it and be confused for how long do they play? Like 90 minutes? 90 minutes of actual game action?
It's 90 minutes of game action, and it's a running clock, and so it doesn't stop. Yeah. What they do is
they add time
out of bounds or an injury. Yeah, they add time at the end. Right. It's called stoppage time. But we're not here to talk about soccer. We're here to talk about what you guys are interested in, which is Indiana sports. Yesterday, I don't know what you all talked about. I've been in Buffalo for the past 4 days.
Yeah, man.
On Friday,
how's that?
My wife, it was fantastic. My wife and I traveled up to see some family up in Buffalo, New York. Never been up there before. Got to see Niagara Falls, which was fantastic. It's one of those things where you're worried you're going to be underwhelmed because it's one of those things that's super hyped up. But I think it absolutely lived up to the hype. I was very taken aback just by the sheer splendor of it.
I haven't seen it either. I'd love to go up there sometime, probably in the summer months. I don't think I could handle October. But it would be
50 degrees in the 50s.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Did you do like the boat, or did you just stand atop?
We did.
Oh, nice. And you got
your
little
boat,
poncho.
That was the last thing we did. It's called the Maid of the Mist. It's about $25, something like that. You go to this observation deck that stands into what is called the Niagara River, and you get lowered down this elevator, and you get in this line. They hand you a poncho. The ponchos were pink for breast cancer awareness. Apparently, they're usually blue. And you line up. You get on this boat, and it's interesting. You drive, and obviously there's a captain on there. You're not specifically driving it, but the captain drives you slowly toward what is called the horseshoe part of the falls, because there's a regular waterfall that you pass first. It's still massive, but you drive into what is known as the Horseshoe Falls. And as soon as you get to that point, and I'll let Jim in here in a second, they stop the boat right in the middle of everything, and you get to kind of just look around and be in the middle of
nice.
all of it. So,
like that 360 view.
I'm not sure if Jim's ready. He's in the green room, but if he can hear us, what I'm going to do is, Jim, if you could hear us, just wave at me, give me the signal, and we'll bring you in. But Jim is about to be joining us from the Target Center in Minneapolis. But yeah, so we're talking about this earlier, but before we're getting ready to get him on, what is with the Big Ten, especially this year? Like, I understand that you want to have all these different events in different locations, but this year you have the Big Ten tournaments, at least the men's basketball tournament, I don't know about the women's, is in Chicago. Why are you having media days in Minneapolis? Why not just have them all in the same location?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think Kevin Warren is trying to
tell you where to not have it.
And there he is, Mr. Jim Coyle, right on cue.
Let me tell you where they should never, ever have it again. But
is it a pain?
I digress.
It's a great question.
I've digressed already.
Well, it's a great question as to why they did it this way. I mean, I think because Kevin Warren was from Minnesota would be my guess, but I don't know. And then to get it different cities involved. I mean, Jim Delaney did a great job to, circulate some things and do.
This ain't the place.
This ain't the place. All right. Jim's from us live. What's the problem?
Hey, this is customarily where Media Row has been most recently, out on the court, so you can be a part of them. They don't even have one. Nobody even knows anything. It's new, of course, but ultimately, I think it is back just in the media workroom, which pointless to me.
Right. You can't do anything.
Well, you can, but it's like it's not conducive to doing a live show. Now, where I'm sitting at right now is probably not the best place either, because right behind me or in front of me is the actual stage where all the speakers are going to be speaking, which commences at 8 a.m. Santa Claus time. So there's
Santa Claus time. All right, I like that. Santa Claus time.
Well, my hair's all jacked up too. So we got that, but we got a nice little background right now. Mike Woodson speaks at 9 a.m. Santa Claus time today, which is 10 a.m. real people time.
Nice.
So there's that. So no, I'm not a fan of this. No, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's not close to anything except for Santa Claus and the North Pole. It's not close to the rest of the conference.
Well,
pain in the ass, to be pure honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, not only that.
Said that out loud, didn't
I? Not only that, you have Indianapolis and Chicago are two places that have done this.
They're still setting up electric plugins.
Yeah, see, this is what those two cities.
Why is this not done?
Indianapolis and Chicago have done this before. They have experience doing it. They know what they're doing.
Baby. Professionals.
Right? And Minneapolis is a professional sports town. I mean, I know Chicago is too, but at least the Big Ten is located in Chicago. Minneapolis is a pro sports town. Yeah, I know they got the Golden Gophers, but they're not. They play basically fourth fiddle to the Timberwolves, the Vikings, the Twins, maybe even the Minnesota Wild, probably. I don't know. I mean, I do know why they did it there, but it sounds from your experience that it should never happen here again.
Okay, but of all places, why here first if you're going to do that? Why not say Columbus, Ohio?
Or Detroit?
Detroit, yeah, exactly. But why are we not in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Well, yeah, they've got great facilities out there.
Might as well be in Lincoln. It's as far away as anything, and it would be as pointless. So, but there's that.
Or New Jersey.
Caught on. Not happy about this. Yeah, I'm not. It's not my. Definitely not my favorite deal. I'll tell you this: if this were to happen, if this were to be held here again, I won't come back.
It makes sense.
It's a beautiful town. Beautiful town. Let me get to say that. Beautiful place. The weather was phenomenal. Just like it was at home, I couldn't believe. I think it's going to get chillier, cooler tomorrow, but that's regardless of that. Yeah, it's just not a good setup.
The only time I've been up to Minnesota is to go fishing. Been up there twice. Spider Lake in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, I believe.
Joey Reese come to Minnesota.
I caught a lot of bluegill. That was about it. But I love going up there to be outdoors, but apparently not for media days. So,
no. How's everything else going, guys?
We're doing great. The MLB playoffs start today. We've got.
They've already started, but
the actual playoffs, not the wild card stuff. Braves are in action at 1:00. We got obviously the Pacers are in this. We were talking. This is like the best time of year because we've got you got the NBA kickstarting with this preseason basketball. You've got the MLB playoffs are underway. We got Big Ten basketball media days that'll be kicking off soon. We're in the heart of college football season. Just a lot of things to enjoy this time of year.
I know.
It looks like Jim's having some technical difficulties there in Minneapolis.
Jim, you're still with us. Just turn your camera back on.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, how do I have your background?
Yeah, I don't know.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I was just trying to plug something in here when I hit the wrong button, I believe.
How about the Chiefs last night, too? They overcame it was 17-0, won 30-29. They could have had two of the ugliest losses.
Are you surprised?
Well, they lost to the Colts, so I was a little bit surprised.
That is true.
They could have had two of the ugliest losses in the NFL, but they were able to pull that one out last night. I mean, yeah, it's disappointing that it's such a disaster up in Minneapolis. That's you'd think they'd have their stuff together.
Oh, that's okay. We can talk about much better things. You will hear from what's in that, and the women are here too. Don't forget.
That's right.
Speaks early. Race Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis is here. Mike DeCourcy is here. As I'm trying to get everything set up.
Are they interchanging it? Are they shuffling? So some men's coaches and then women's coaches, or how is it all the men coaches and then all the women coaches? How are they splitting that up?
I think it's by team.
Okay.
I think they're playing. I'm just looking to see what they're doing right now. I'm not sure.
Oh, some sort of
memoriam. So I'm going to be quiet so you guys can do some talking.
There we go.
I've never seen them do this before.
I don't know I don't know what they're we're getting a live video of what's happening here.
Can you see it? Bobby Leonard, that's Slick Leonard there.
Who don't have the visual aspect of this, there is a video on screen. Where is the
Wayne
stage
Radford,
where the speakers will be?
Wayne Radford. There's I've seen a couple of former Indiana people up there already. I think these are people that have passed in the last two years, because it says 21 and 22. So,
Jim, I'm curious if you're the only live show taking action right now here in the Target Center.
Well, yeah, because this is not really where. This is where the writers generally sit.
Yeah, because last year in Indianapolis, they had you in this. It was like the restaurant area.
Well,
or something, wasn't it?
That was the year before last. That was the year before last.
The Pacers have a great area to do that at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They have.
Well, now but now you do it right on the court.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying the Pacers on the court level, they have restaurants. They have some areas where you can go where it would make sense to set up a show, and it's not echoey or anything. Yeah.
And it had a beautiful backdrop. Perfect. It was actually great.
You know, it seems like the Target Center is taking this as almost like it's an inconvenience to them, right? To have all this stuff.
Oh,
kind of
last second. Just being a whiny little person, but trying to get the sweat wiped off. Thank God we can take a break and I can do that. We're live at Big Ten Basketball Media Days for 2022 here in the beautiful North Pole, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market, where you can find the absolute best meats around, and where we'll be live Friday. Man, what a busy week. So back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
I was just scrolling through.
I wouldn't have pictured Minnesota being the third choice after Chicago and Indianapolis, but I guess in terms of city size, does that kind of fit the bill compared to the rest?
Look, I've always heard that. Well, I don't. Okay. I'm going to have to save some of my comments for off air.
Yeah,
I have always.
You don't have to say anything.
I have always heard that Minneapolis is a great city, though. I mean, but like I said, it's also a pro sports town, which is there's nothing wrong with that, but it might be.
I guess you can say Chicago is too, though, outside of Northwestern.
Right. No, I agree.
You have the headquarters there, but Chicago is very much centrally located for the rest of the conference.
That's what I'm saying. Chicago's definitely a pro sports city, but it's also the headquarters, so you can have people kind of get stuff set up, get that stuff arranged and have relationships with the people you need to. I don't know.
You could almost do it in Columbus. That's a fairly large city.
You could do it. There's a lot. You could do it Detroit. You could probably. Jim said Lincoln or Omaha. Yeah. Those would be good spots.
Hell, do it in Canada.
Don't give him any ideas. You might be able. I mean, those would probably be the only places to do it. Lincoln, Detroit, Indianapolis, Chicago, Columbus,
Piscataway.
Oh yeah,
or New York City, I guess.
Well, New York City would have their stuff together, though. I feel.
Yeah, but you'd also, if you're not used to that environment, that would be difficult for a lot of people.
That would be. Yes.
I'm trying to decide. Should I get up and go out to that other media area?
Do whatever. You got 40 seconds till we come back. By the way, if you need.
I'm not worried about.
The Big Ten Conference is providing
that helped me nothing.
Wireless internet access.
I mean, I don't know what it's like there, so I can't really give you an educated guess.
There are no passwords required to access this network. Additional Wi-Fi.
Larry says, "Do it at Jim's house."
Buddy, if I had this do over again, I'd be home.
We'll begin in about 9 minutes. Thank you.
All right, I'm ready to bring us back in. You want to drop out, Jim, and move?
Drop me out.
Okay.
Live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Our buddy Jim Coyle is currently relocating. For those of you who have been listening, he was somewhere in the midst of a memorial. I don't know what to call it, memorial service. That's not what it was, but there was something going on in what was primarily the writer's location for media days, and he was trying to do his show there. And so,
and it's going to be relocating. It's going to be impossible for him to do that. Do that show while they're talking. If they're starting here in 10 minutes, you won't be able to hear him at all. So good idea to move. But we're less than a month away from the start of college basketball season. I'm interested. You know what's funny is Indiana's already had their media days, their individual media days.
Hysteria.
So they've had Hoosier Hysteria. I'm interested to know what other questions, because I always view media days as if you cover the conference or you cover college basketball or you cover another team, it's kind of your opportunity to get the feedback from coaches from opposing teams, right? Like that's how I always viewed it. Like the Michigan State guy is going to have the chance to talk with Tom Izzo whenever, maybe not whenever he wants, but more regularly. So he's probably going to meet with Greg Gard or Matt Painter or Mike Woodson. So I'm always interested to see what kind of questions they pose to some of these coaches. I'm interested to see what kind of answers Mike Woodson gives, because we've already heard him talk a couple times. We know what he's about. We know he wants to get better as a coach. We know he wants this team to be back near the top of the Big Ten. He said Indiana basketball is the bleep. Raising a uproar at Assembly Hall was awesome. So it's always interesting. You don't usually learn too much from what they televise. It's more kind of the breakout sessions where you get some of those more intimate conversations. But occasionally you might get some interesting comments, interested to see what everybody has to say. And this is basically the official start to the college basketball season. I mean, the first slate of games, I don't know Indiana's first game. I could look it up here really quick. But the first round of games starts on November 7th. It looks like Indiana does play Morehead State on November 7th. So
and let me jump in real quick before you get too far ahead.
Yeah.
And you can disagree with me because I know every Big Ten team is required to play at least once on BTN Plus. And there's one person I had an exchange with on Twitter, and it wasn't a bad exchange, but they disagreed, and I'm curious if you would. But Indiana's opening game against Morehead State is on BTN Plus. It's the only time they're on BTN Plus, but I understand the point of view that the person I talked with said, go ahead and get it out of the way. And yeah, I guess that makes sense, but I say no for two reasons. One, Morehead State's a fairly decent program for a smaller mid-major type of school. And two, it's the first game of the season. Why in the world are you not taking advantage of Indiana fans who are excited for this year's basketball team on the opening day of college basketball? And you're not going to put Indiana on television.
That's exactly why they're not doing it. What did you just say? The Indiana fans, they're passionate, right? So
you're saying they're going to buy the.
Yes,
I'm not going to.
You may not, but I guarantee you that's part of the strategy. They look at the biggest fan bases and they say, how are we going to get? They're not. Look, if Indiana looks really good and pummels Morehead State by let's say 40 points, I don't think that's out of the question. Usually the Big Ten teams in these type of games win between 25 and 40 points. If that is what happens, then if you look at like game 3 or 4 on the schedule, and I don't know Indiana's schedule off the top of my head, but I know they play Kennesaw State later in the day, right? So let's just say, or later in the season, let's just say they put the Kennesaw State game on Big Ten Plus. They're probably fans aren't going to buy it, but if they do it, go ahead, Jim. Jim's got Mike DeCourcy there. I'll let him take it away.
Sorry, guys. How are you doing? Make sure you can hear me fine.
Yeah, we're good. We were just discussing, and you can go into whatever you want, but we were discussing why Indiana's opening game is on BTN Plus and why they chose that one specifically.
Yeah,
we don't have to talk about that.
Nothing to add to that discussion. BTN Plus, why a game is on BTN Plus. Mike DeCourcy joining us, of course, live. Thank goodness. I'm very, very fortunate from the Sporting News. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy to be at Big Ten Media Day again. Looking forward to another season at BTN. It should be a really compelling season because there's so little known. Even Indiana, which has been getting universal acclaim, nearly universal acclaim as the league favorite, there still are significant questions about them. They have the best player in the league. I don't think there's much debate about that. Hunter Dickinson's terrific, but I don't think he's Trace. So there's that, and they have a lot of veteran players. Who wouldn't want Race Thompson on their team? But there are questions about the perimeter shooting. There's questions about the consistency of the point guard play. The last 2 years have been great, really great. Even though in the end the NCAA tournament performances weren't outstanding. The conference year, and I think too many people forget. Like that's how we spend out of the months of the college basketball season: November, December, January, February, March. You spend 40% of that in conference play plus the extra week, so it's a little bit more than 40%. And let's not forget about how much fun that was. The last 2 years were fantastic. And I've written this, and I really believe this, and I think that the data shows that having a league like that is hard on your league, and you get to March. And it's more difficult for you because you've spent so much time trying to contort yourself to deal with nightly competition that by the time you get to March, you're kind of out of ideas. You're tired. We've seen this, and it's interesting. People now try to make the case. I was thinking about this on the way over. Make the case. Well, the ACC had this great tournament, so look how great they were. Notre Dame was the ACC's 4th or 5th team in. Okay. Rutgers was the Big Ten's 9th. They were the last Big Ten team to get in, basically. And they went to overtime in a first 4 game. So that's like your 4th or 5th best against the Big Ten's 9th or 10th best. And that's how close it was at, from here to here. So you want to rewrite the history of the league because they didn't perform well in the tournament. No, I'm not buying that, because the years when your league is really hard is the years when you don't make the tournament runs. Back to the Big East in 2011. I think that's the perfect example. They got 2 out of 11 teams into the Sweet 16. And one of the reasons why that happened was because there were so many of them that they wound up playing each other in the second round. So they had to be a Big East team in the Sweet 16 when Connecticut played Cincinnati. It had to be. It had to be one or the other. And Marquette played Syracuse. One of them had to win. The Big Ten didn't quite get that many teams, so they never quite to that situation. So that inevitability wasn't there.
I was reading last night the official, unofficial poll for the Big Ten, and it's, 5-6 teams deep. Indiana, we talked about. Illinois, they've reloaded. People, if you don't think so, you're wrong. They hit the portal and they have restocked. Michigan has their talent. Do you think Tom Izzo forgot how to coach? And I saw in the offseason, he's landed a great recruiting class. Maryland, they still a great recruiting class. Not sure that they're quite there. Ohio State, they look like they've fallen off. And then Wisconsin, you can't count them out. Iowa's got another Murray kid, so there's his brother. What he went from 8 points a year the following year to 23 and Player of the Year. So talk about unknowns. Exactly. I don't know what Iowa's going to do. I don't know how Patrick McCaffrey is going to shine. So that's pretty deep of teams that I'm pretty sure that are going to be pretty good.
Pretty good.
No, it looks like we lost Jim's microphone there. We got
we lost you.
Mute.
Team, but
there we go.
They'd have to screw it up to not be a really good team. That was last year. This year, you have more of that. Things. Everybody's got to take care of their business, and November and December are huge for the league this year
because of that uncertainty. You can
have a great performance even.
Yeah, we got
him come out and be ready to go. So I think the practices that are happening now are really important
for the league
because they have to be ready to go when they get into the Gavitt games, and then subsequently, not long after that, the ACC Big Ten Challenge. I think if they can come close to breaking even in those 2 challenges, I think the league will have a really nice, solid year in terms of getting 6, 7, 8 teams in. If they don't do well in those challenges, it could be a rough ride.
What are your expectations for Big Ten Media Days this year? I know there's not a lot comes out of it. Coaches get to speak. Mike Woodson in his second year. Ironically, his first year into the league, just kind of getting indoctrinated. Now he's the hunted.
Yeah, he is, and I think people are going to enjoy hunting Indiana because
which is good to see.
Yeah, I think that the fact that, as I said, that there is that uncertainty about the nature of how they'll do things. They have the best talent in the league, 1 to 8, let's say, which is what matters. There's no doubt about that in my estimation. Now that some of the others have young talent that might eventually be significant in the league, like Ohio State brought in a top 10 recruiting class. Michigan State, really nice recruiting class, and they may actually, they might have great teams this year. But the best talent's at Indiana. So this is a chance for them to, and again, goes back to that start of the year, be ready to go at the start of the year. And Indiana, for the first time in a while, has toughened up the schedule a bit. It's not been over the course of that time, over the course going back to Arch, they didn't play great schedules. Tom Crean's final years, they didn't play really great schedules. There were too many 300s on there. On occasion, you would have really strong opponents, don't get me wrong, but generally not schedules that rated high according to Ken Palm or according to the net. So this year, that's getting amped up.
Yes.
And so this is an opportunity for them. And if they're ready to go, they can strike a blow for the league and certainly for themselves.
And now, though, they have to learn how to win closeout games. I know that was probably their biggest problem last year besides shooting. Because they could have won their games, should have won. They just didn't know how to win. I guess is the best way to put it. They didn't know how to close out, didn't have that killer attitude or whatever it was that they were going to have this year.
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge of playing the tougher schedule, because sometimes when you for learning how to win, and you don't want to play the 355th team, but if you can play the 150th team, you can still learn how to win while playing a team that, if you do things right, shouldn't beat you. So they don't have a ton of those. They have a few. Everybody does, but they have a really significant challenge on their hands.
Oh, boom! Now we're back live. Let's check the schedule. Good. When you have to go outside, Mike? It's 9:05.
When we're done.
Just want to make sure. Kevin Warren will be speaking this morning. Nothing earth-shattering I expect to hear from him?
I don't think they're going to add any more, at least not today. I don't think they're going to be adding any more UCLAs or USCs. He's got he's very good at sending out a message about the things he wants to talk about. The terrific work they've done with the mental health initiatives and things like that. They've got a new director of basketball, vice president of basketball. They just announced today. And so that, I think that's an important step for the league, to make sure you have separating from Rick Boyages, make sure you have someone in here who can do a great job with the officiating and other elements of the basketball competition. So there's a lot of important league business to talk about, no question. And, USC and UCLA are on the way, but they're not here yet. So I'm sure there will be questions about that as well.
One question I will ask, non-basketball related, as we've had a change at football and staff at IU. I was a little surprised to see Tom make the change in season, but I think that after the past game, he just had no choice. Even Tom Allen had no choice. He had to make this change. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't know they had Rod Carey in the background. I had no idea he was on staff.
Right. I think sometimes coaches are reluctant to do that. For one, it puts ideas in if he can change, then the head coach. And so sometimes they're not crazy about doing that. Or
players or the relationships, and the coach goes and you don't want to lose the players.
Yeah, but sometimes the players are, and I'm not saying that's the case here because I don't know the situation inside the IU locker room close to well enough. But sometimes the players are already not there. And you can get them back. I mean, the perfect example is 2012 Baltimore Ravens. I know it's not college; it's the NFL.
Well, they wish they were the Ravens.
but they dismissed their offensive coordinator, I think, in early November of that season, and they left the season with Super Bowl rings. So it can be the right move. I think
Minnesota, when the defensive coordinator a year or two ago, when it made the dividends.
When things aren't working. Sometimes you just have to try something different. I like there, and sometimes it's not as it's a little bit more subtle than that. The coach stays in place, but the most important duties are usurped by others on the staff or by the head coach himself. Sometimes it's that, but in this case, they decided to make the move that they did. So I understand it. It's clearly Indiana wasn't going in the direction that they wanted to go. And in a lot of ways, they weren't that far away. So I can understand why you might feel that you need to make a move in order to move forward.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News joining us here today. We're going to let him go a little early so we can get out to Big Ten Media Days, which is why he's here. We're all here. So, but thanks a lot, Mike, as always. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from Minneapolis to the Target Center. Brought to you by Go Team right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Golfers, here's
you too.
You're very close.
We had Matt Painter in the background, I'm pretty sure.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure that's who I saw.
Matt, is he the longest tenured other than Tom?
No wonder.
Yep.
But did y'all hear that?
Hear what?
Mike.
What do you say?
Okay, I couldn't tell. Everything's all screwed up.
Yeah, I can kind of tell on your end. I bet you couldn't hear yourself, but we could hear you.
No.
What happened?
Yeah, and I was worried.
Yeah, that's why I was like, he's not understanding it, but I have to remove this other portion so there's no echo, because there was an echo if both of them were in there.
Well, yeah, I was trying to make sure both mics weren't on.
Oh.
Well, here we go. I'll use this as a backdrop. How about that? If I could get to the fucking counter.
You're easily the most mobile radio show in history.
You're goddamn right. Hey, what about this? What about this as a backdrop? Is that too much?
Cool. No, I mean, there's a lot of white, but it's not bad.
All right, let me try to get this shit set up.
Hey, by the way, John, look, see, this is what I'm talking about. Five Left said he already bought.
I've read through it. I was like, they're proving you correct.
Yep, that's why they do. Your thought is the correct one. Why would you do that? Because it's a big fan base. It's the first game of the year, but that's exactly why.
Because they know they are. I'm sure they already struggle to get people on BTN Plus, and they're like, we've got to maximize people getting on here, and that really is smart. Especially the guy who said they'll forget to cancel it. That's a big one.
That's a great point by
So good move on BTN. Good move on me for not falling for it.
Yeah.
I'll just find a way to bootleg it.
That's a way to go, man. I tell you.
30 seconds, Jimbo, if you can hear us, hopefully.
BTN Plus gets a lot of criticism for how it runs, though. I've never purchased, nor have I ever watched anything on it.
Jim, do you need both of these things in here? Oh, God, here we go. All right.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore.
Nope.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Coming to you on this Tuesday. I had to stop and think. I'm not lying. I am, boy. Brought to you by our good friends at Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Dustin Schutte with me as always, as I am here at the Target Center in Minneapolis. Kevin Warren.
There you go.
On the podium. I guess I could really, if you wanted it. Not that which way do I need to slide? There you go.
There you go. Now we can watch the TV while we're on the radio.
I can hold. I'm holding Kevin Warren in my hand.
There you go.
So there's that. Yeah, I found a spot that is probably going to be about as good as anything here. My shoes are still not tied. That's how much of a rush I was. Well, first of all, it started. Great night's sleep. I woke up before an alarm went off. Woke up right before the phone call came from the hotel room. 7 a.m. wake up call. But instantly realized, oh, you know what? That's 8 o'clock in the real world. And so into Superman mode, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get to the Target Center. Get set up, no idea where I'm going to be. So you can imagine what this morning was like. As it always is. As it always is. What would it not be without it being hectic? But we're here. Mike Whitson is going to be on the podium at 10 o'clock our time. I shouldn't say times, but in about an hour after the commissioner. I believe he speaks after Terry Morin. I need a second. Funny. Pete, my friend Pete, who actually lives here. Hopefully, get to see him tonight. But there's a place right across from my hotel room. It's Roxy's. 3 different things. It's Roxy's Diner, which is the first thing I saw. And it's silver. You know those old silver diners?
Sure do.
3-story one though.
Oh wow.
But when I'm talking to him on the phone, he's like, well, I see Roxy's Cabaret. I said, no, this ain't a cabaret, man. I can see the diner. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I can see more letters out to the right. I'm like, oh, I see an R-E-T. I said, I think that is a cabaret. So they have a 24-hour diner on one side, a cabaret on the other of some sort, and some kind of bar up top, I think.
I like it.
It's just kind of funny. But no, I did not make it to Roxy's, Pete. No worries. I was in bed early. Looking forward to talking to Race Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis today, as they'll be here doing interviews as well as the Indiana player. I don't know which Indiana women's players came. Obviously, I'm sure Grace Berger. Well, it's probably just Grace Berger and Mackenzie Holmes.
Only 2? Is there only 2 per team?
I believe that for whatever reason in basketball this year they are doing 2. I think IU is doing 2 to my knowledge.
Okay.
Those are the 2 that are coming up. So yeah, there's just not enough room when having it at Gainbridge. It makes any place else look bad. I'll tell you, the Gainbridge is just that good. They have so much space. We at Gainbridge, Radio Row was actually on the court, just like football.
Lucas Oil,
which is incredible. Which at any football stadium you can do that, but apparently not every baseball or basketball court because they simply just don't have the room here, I guess. And the overflow is at Gainbridge is the women's practice court, which is also pretty cool because it's right off of the thing. Then you mentioned the restaurant, which is similar to this, but does not have the same.
There
zeal.
is right. The nice part about Gainbridge and why people consider it the best basketball facility in the country is because of the room that they have, the different places you can go. They have that restaurant. They've got the practice court, as Jim just mentioned. I mean, it flows very nicely. It's not just a great arena to watch a game. It's got all the amenities. There used to be, I know above one of the baskets, there used to be a restaurant up there too. So you could even go up there and do a radio show or do your writing or whatever you needed to do. So very accessible. Doesn't sound like the Target Center is quite as conducive to this type of situation.
I'm pretty sure I should stop complaining because it'll come back to haunt me.
That's true.
But I made my. Well, I was not happy about it way before. This is not a good idea. No, I'm sorry. Right. It's just not. It's not. There's no point. If you want as much media coverage as possible, which I think that is the goal of Big Ten Media Days.
It is.
It should be as centrally located as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the Truth always, man. Hey, Truth, I heard you on the call-in the football post-game show the other day. It's the first time I heard your voice. How you doing, man? I got to get my glasses out so I can read some comments. I'm neglecting our peeps, man. There's a lot on there, too. Anything good that I've missed comments?
Oh, we talked about –
how you doing, buddy?
We talked about ESPN Plus. We've talked about
what about ESPN Plus?
Indiana's first game of the season against Morehead State is on ESPN Plus. I'm sorry, BTN Plus. I keep getting that confused.
What is
Indiana's first game of the season against Morehead State? The season opener.
You know why?
I know why. Yes,
trying to sell BTN Plus, people.
Correct. Yes, that's what we were talking about. So So we talked about that. What else have people been talking about?
What?
Some people have already bought it.
It's going to be 80 degrees here today.
Wow. How about that?
It's not going to be 80 degrees in Bloomington, I can tell you that.
You get one more day of summer in Minnesota.
Holy moly.
Nice.
That's crazy. Pete said he read an article that Nebraska football should go for Matt Rule. Rule is owed $40 million over 48 months. What?
Yeah, I
Who
would
owes
not.
him $40 million?
The Carolina Panthers, yeah.
Why would you ever put yourself in that kind of a position? That's not.
Well,
$40 million buyout.
Apparently,
Is Matt Rule who Pat Kraft hired at Temple?
I would have to go back and look at how that lined up, but he was at Temple.
And that's who Pat Kraft, former IU player,
and then he
turned
right.
ISB.
Then he went to Baylor, and then he got the job with the Carolina Panthers. So I mean, he did a great job turning Baylor around. I don't know. It seems risky for Nebraska to go after him, but I mean, they're going to have a football coach, so I'm sure his name will be in the candidacy pool.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. But there was a change in Indiana yesterday. Of course, the doubts prior to that. We haven't really spoken about that, I don't think, have we? No, because the press conference came afterwards. Rod Carey, who, like I've said a number of times, I did not know he was on staff.
Right.
I mean, that's one they snuck in there. I mean, it's just so. This is actually a step up for Indiana. You have a coach that has former head coaching experience that can now, he was on staff, but he couldn't do certain things. He couldn't recruit. He couldn't coach. Now he can actually coach. He can recruit. I can see him sticking around for a couple of years.
Well,
especially if he gets elevated.
Right. Well, and I mean, Don Fisher brought up the point yesterday where, if he does a good job with this offensive line and you see, I don't even know major improvement, but if you see some improvement during the time that he takes over, I mean, he could potentially be up for another job somewhere else. You hope that's not the case.
That's always going to be the case, but I mean,
he's got the background to do it. Some of these
that's
guys
all he's ever done is coach offensive line.
Well, right, but
I shouldn't say that. He was a head coach, and
80%
of his coaching jobs were offensive line, and until he got an OC tag, I forget where, but yeah, vast experience and a former IU lineman.
So he's going to take it personally, which is a good thing. And like I said, my thing is my question is not so much how much the offensive line improves. I don't know what you can do after 6 games. It's not like you have spring practice. It's not like you have the summer months to go out and add new players or to show technique this time of year. You can make some little tweaks and hope it improves. I'm looking forward to seeing what the collaboration is like between he and Walt Bell. What does the scheme look like? Because you've got to have some honesty. And when Walt Bell's in that room having a conversation with his offensive line coach, he needs to be telling them, look, you might want to run this play, but this guy can't block that play. This guy doesn't have the speed to run this type of scheme. And so that's the kind of collaboration I'm looking to see, because I think Indiana's offense, Dustin DePurick and I think disagree on this a little bit. I think Indiana can score some points with a bad offensive line. We've seen it from other teams. Michigan State's offensive line, Kenneth Walker last year made them look really good. Purdue has never been able to run the football. They've won with bad offensive line play. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
A hungover anchor man.
I like that. That.
Oh, it's hilarious. Not the case,
a great comparison.
Very, very funny. Ron Burgundy here.
Jim Burgundy.
Jim Burgundy. Stay classy, Minneapolis. Pete said should have done it over at US Bank Stadium. That's top notch.
There you go.
Compared to the Target Center. Yeah.
It's a little old, huh? Did not know that.
So I asked this question.
Why?
Why are we here?
I know why. We all know why.
All right.
Kevin Warren's still talking.
Tannis says we'll see how Rod Carey improves the line. That being said, he loves his gregarious demeanor. I think a lot of people did. A lot of people yesterday, and John, I don't know if you can, when you have the chance, if you can pull any of him up, because we definitely could probably. I think a lot of his comments. There was one where he said, "Oh, maybe I'm saying too much," and he stopped. Just everyone seems to love, but he's an O-line coach, man.
Those guys are always fun.
Yeah. Yes, he's an O-line coach. He's a what did John Madden call him or Keith Jackson? Oh man,
I don't know.
Gee whiz, the big boys anyway.
The hog mollies.
Yeah, I forget what he called them, but where are we on time? I got to make sure. It's hard. I'm just completely out of
5 minutes.
He's out of sorts.
Oh, well, great. We got 5 minutes left. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go out and I'll send a text to see so I can get an idea of when we're going to get Trace and Race.
Big Uglies. The Big Uglies.
The Big Uglies.
There you go.
There you go. The Big Uglies. Yeah, I loved it. That one of my absolute favorite. He was one of the absolute best. I mean, the stuff he came up with, he was the original to me.
Yeah.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. I mean, I think he was the original, like making that kind of stuff up, and he just seemed like it came so natural to him.
Right. There wasn't really much change in his voice and his demeanor usually. I mean, he just had the same sort of tone throughout the entire game, and let the plays and the players speak for themselves a lot. I mean, he was great. I'll always, like, when I see the Rose Bowl, when I see a picture of the Rose Bowl on January 1st, that's the voice that comes to mind. And it's still, I know it's been a long time since he's called one, but it's been, when I see it, I'm always,
away, so yes, it's been a while.
I am aware. I'm just saying that his voice it's always kind of shocking to me when it's not his voice. Like, it's still, it's one of those things you expect, right? Like, it's like when you turn on an IU game, you expect to hear Don Fisher. When you turn on a Pacers game, you expect to hear Chris Denary or Mark Boyle. That's just one of those things that it's never gone away, apparently.
Nope. It's a great one. Just sending a text to JD Campbell, Indiana's SID. And first of all, let me thank JD and Greg. They do such great work helping. Greatly appreciate those guys. So thanks to them for always helping make things work. Doesn't always work out perfectly, but you know what? They're always trying to give us a hand. So no baseball games last night, baseball games today. I guess, truly the playoffs do really start today, I guess. That's because this is all ALDS and NLDS, right?
Yes, sir. Yep, we're finally getting underway with this.
The Divisional Championship Series. Did any wild card teams, are they still alive?
Yes.
Yes, because the Mets were eliminated.
The Mets were eliminated, so the Padres are a wild card team, and the Phillies, they beat the Cardinals. So two wild card teams in the National League. The American League, I feel like the Seattle Mariners are a wild card team that made it. I don't know Cleveland. I don't know Cleveland.
Well, there has to always be at least two. There has to be a total of two at least because of the number of teams needed.
Right.
To play, but the Cardinals, yeah, that's a little surprising to see them go down. Who took them out?
The Phillies, 2 games.
Wow. There you go. Hey, we've got more coming up. And I'll be checking on when the players will be joining us as well. Hey, we're coming to you live from the Target Center here in Minneapolis for the 2022 Big Ten Men's Basketball Media Days. Or no, Basketball Media Days. Let me reiterate that. Men and women are here. Brought to you by Barbara Pop Real Estate Services in Southern Indiana, Louisville. If you're looking for a home in that area, Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Scott counties, all down through there into Louisville. They have served that community for 3 decades, and there's no one that can get you into the home you want more than Barbara Pop Real Estate Services. Reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com and or Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com. We're back with more right after I tie my shoes.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
See, Tanis backed me up. Hog Mollies, that's another. Hog Mollies, big uglies. I think they use those interchangeably. 5 lefts. Marv Albert is a great example. Yes. I'm trying to think of who else would fit in that category. This would be a great site. Who are the broadcasts? Jim Nance with March Madness and the Masters. Those are 2 really good ones. You got any, John, that you just associate a voice with a sporting event? Who's the voice of the World Cup?
Depends on, so I don't know if I associate it specifically with a sporting event, but one of the earliest memories I have of any sort of announcer making, I guess, just remembering what they did was Gus Johnson when he was calling Indiana versus North Carolina Central.
Yep.
Basketball, obviously.
Okay.
And Oladipo hit a 3/4 court shot before halftime. And that specific call, I remember very vividly. I was actually, I didn't watch that game. I was there in person. And then I saw it and heard that call. So that's even more interesting.
I like it.
Yeah.
Dickie V gets a few mentions. Great example. Gus Johnson is a really good one, John. The first one I remember of like Gus Johnson was that UCLA Gonzaga game, and it just yelling.
What's his name?
Adam Morrison.
Adam Morrison. That's a good one.
That UCLA team had some. I only remember Darren Collison, but I know that they had a lot of really good players on that team. But I just remember Gus Johnson yelling into the microphone.
That's
Paul Page.
In terms of calls that I didn't see live that are Gus Johnson's, that's probably my favorite, the Gonzaga one.
Yeah, that's a great one. It's for whatever, because it was such a big comeback and because of his, I remember where I was watching that game. I had a giant screen TV up in my, there was my room, my brother's room growing up. And then we had like this, I guess it was like a living room upstairs. I don't know what you would call it.
25, Jim.
And then I just remember watching it on the big screen up there and just him yelling into it. And I was like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? But that was crazy. Paul Page, Indy 500, Bobby Slick Leonard, love him.
All right, here we go.
0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim is still tying his shoe, so you'll have to wait and see. We'll have to ask him how the shoe tying is going, because man, that is a lengthy shoe tie.
No kidding.
Going on, but
I wonder if it's tennis shoes or dress shoes. What do you think Jim's got on?
What would a hungover, just taking the comment, this is not my comments, what would a hungover anchor man be wearing?
Just socks. It is kind of surprising that Jim didn't show up in just socks, considering the hustle he was in. Or sandals, flip-flops, but those don't have. Velcro shoes, Tanis says. I like that. There we go. We need a side bet here with the people on YouTube that are chiming in. What kind of shoes is Jim wearing? Dress shoes, flip-flops, tennis shoes, Velcro. We'll take some. We'll take some bets. I don't have odds or anything, and I'm not putting money on it. But
we were talking about announcers during the break. Dustin asked me who I thought. Who do you associate with a specific sport or a sporting event or a team? and I was talking about Gus Johnson, and obviously I think he's most well known. And I mentioned just a specific Indiana regular season non-conference game. He's more known for, or at least his claim to fame was March Madness back in the day.
Yeah.
And you told the story, not told the story, but you talked about the game against Gonzaga. I think it was UCLA they were facing, correct? In
yes.
NCAA tournament.
Yep.
And Adam Morrison. I obviously don't know what he said specifically in my head, but that is probably in terms of non-Indiana related games, the one that I always think of when I think of Gus Johnson. But
yes,
the one I talked about was back in, I guess it would have been the early Tom Crean years. I think it was probably around 2009, 2010. Whenever Oladipo was only a freshman, Gus Johnson had the call on a 3/4 court halftime heave, I guess if you want to call it. That I was there in person for, so I didn't hear the Gus Johnson call. But when I went home, and obviously the young, bright, eager Indiana fan that I am, going home and being super excited about that shot, and then going to hear that call, and not really knowing who Gus Johnson was at the time. I know I'm showing my age for those of you who have been around for several years watching Indiana basketball, but that is my earliest memory of a sports announcer really having an impact on the way that I experienced a play or a game.
I remember probably the earliest broadcasting memory. Now, this is going to sound really weird, okay? But from a young age, I was always more infatuated with like the broadcasting aspect of it than I was sports. Like I think in the back of my head as a young person, I knew I was never going to go to the NBA, right? But basketball was always my favorite sport. And one of the earliest things I remember was when Reggie Miller hit that 3 over Michael Jordan to win Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and Bob Costas, that whole call, and then when Reggie Miller goes down to the other end of the floor and starts bouncing around and doing circles, and he goes, "Yeah, you can dance, Reggie." That's one that always sticks with me. The Dickie V on Christian Watford's shot when he just yells, "Unbelievable! Unbelievable!" Yeah. That was awesome. Brett Musburger is another one. Every Saturday night football, you are looking live.
Keep talking.
We got this.
So it's this. You're looking live at a sold-out Soldier Field.
Exactly. It was. That's another one that when he went away, I'm not a huge Chris Fowler. Like he doesn't live up to the bill. So Brett Musburger is another good one. There's just so many.
I gotta ask you too, in terms of modern day announcers, for some reason, and I don't fall in this category, and I tend to wear it with a badge of honor for some reason, but lots of Indiana fans seem to have a problem with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Who's the former Illinois player on Big Ten Network? Oh, he's right there. Stephen
Bardo.
He's joining us right now.
Yep, there you go. Jim's got it. We'll let I think Jim's kind of getting set up here, but we'll let Jim take it away now that he's got a special guest with us.
Almost ready to go, but yes, Mr. Stephen Bardo, I'm sure you're all very familiar with from Big Ten Network, and before that, he was on one of those teams I won't talk about. I was in the building because you were on that team at.
I threw Nick Anderson in the pass.
Dang on, man. Jay Edwards wins this game with like 3 seconds to go or something. Jay Edwards
about a second and a half.
Jay Edwards just wins the game for Indiana, and it's like I was in the balcony because I was a student, and so I was getting telegraphs actually on the. I'm just kidding, but then they come down and Illinois wins this game. I'm like, you've got to be. That was. As a student, that was without question the biggest. That was a loss, man. That hurt because that's one. I've never seen one sucked out of a win sucked out of you as quickly as that one was. But that had to be fun for you at least.
Oh man! Anytime you go over to Assembly Hall and get a victory, because the fan base is rabid, so it's tough to go over there and get a victory.
Illinois this year, and I know you're unbiased as a professional, but Illinois, man, they've reloaded. Indiana's getting a lot of talk, I know, deservedly so. Michigan, but I was looking down through the official, unofficial poll last night, and I'm like, I was talking to Mike DeCourcy earlier. I'm like, man, it's leagues deeper than people think. I'm like, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, but then I don't know about Wisconsin yet because they're always sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State seems like they're down, but they've got another Murray kid and his brother. Chris is this one, but if he goes from 7 points a game to 23 like his brother did,
which he very well could in France system. So
and then there's another. But my point is, the Big Ten is deep yet.
It's deep, and there's a lot of unknowns this year. I think there's more unknowns.
Well, that word is the key right there.
Yeah, there's a lot more unknowns this year than there was last year with the transfers coming in. Ohio State with four top 75 freshmen. Illinois with 10 new roster guys, and really 2 players that only played minutes last year returned to the Illini, but their transfers are outstanding. Indiana's got the most returning players, I think, in the upper echelon of the Big Ten, and so that's why people are favoring them. But it's going to be a lot of movement in the league this year.
Indiana added Jalen Hood-Schifino, one of the 4 freshmen have come in, but Malik Renault, I don't know. I'm not in practice, so I don't know how he's been doing up against Race and Trace. It sounds good, but until we see it. But for Indiana, I think they've solidified that second group more. Last year, when the second unit would come in, they lost a lot, and I don't think that's going to be the case this year. And what can CJ Gunn shoot? Can he be a shooter? Can someone be a shooter? I don't think they don't have to hit 12 threes a game. You just have to be efficient.
They do have to be efficient, but see, here's the thing. I love Xavier Johnson. I think Hood-Schifino, he's a real deal. And Indiana hasn't had a player like Hood-Schifino in a long time. He can create a lot of opportunities. It just depends on how he matures, how he handles adversity at this level. But he's an awfully, awfully talented young man. I look forward to watching him play and seeing the effect that he has on the Hoosiers.
Yeah, it's almost like they have 2 point guards because they both, and I've said this before, they're like just a mix because they can just switch like that, 1-2-1, or whatever you want to call it. Both are dynamic playmakers. They can both shoot the ball if they need to, and that is the thing that Indiana missed greatly last year. They have the experience this year, so they have to learn how to win games.
Yeah, I think that will come now because now Mike Woodson's had his goal. They've had the ups and downs. They saw where they struggled last year. Now you come in through a full off season. You got these new freshmen coming in. I think Indiana's poised to really have an outstanding season. Just avoid injury, and I'd like to see Hood-Schifino and Xavier play at the same time.
Oh, I think they will.
Teams that play 2 point guards at one time are very difficult to contain. So I'd like to see that.
I expect them to start together. So we've got Indiana. Do you have a favorite in the league? Whether it's Illinois or it's Michigan, most people are probably sticking to those 3 teams as a favorite. From what I've seen, what's your favorite? It's actually a pick out of a hat, to be honest with you.
No, I think if you're gonna look for a Big Ten champ, it's got to be Indiana, Illinois, Michigan State. I think the wild card in this group that we haven't talked about is Maryland, because Maryland's got 3 returning players, like Dante Scott, and they've got Jameer Young coming in who could really score. And Kevin Will is a really good coach. So
and they're killing it on the recruiting trail too.
Yes. So I think they're going to be a dark horse, an outlier. Nobody's really talking about them, but keep an eye on Maryland.
Illinois is I mentioned earlier. Man, Brad Underwood, they're kind of under the radar because they brought in a lot of players out of the portal. People, I'm not saying they're not known. They're not known in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Illinois is going to be a sneaky team that is going to be just as difficult to not be the champion as anybody else. That's who I picked, actually. I picked Illinois.
Well,
because of experience.
Yeah, experience. And on paper, they look really good. Now, you have to take Matt Meyer and blend him with Terrence Shannon, then blend him with Sky Clark. You see where I'm going? Like, there's a lot of talent on this team. But they'll learn early in that Las Vegas Invitational where I believe they play Baylor first, and then they've got the winner of Virginia. No, they play UCLA first, and then they play the winner or loser of Virginia or Baylor. Those 3 teams right there are picked to win their leagues, and 2 of those are Final Four contenders. So Illinois will find out early.
That would be fun. And when Indiana and Illinois play, there will be, well, if Malik Renaud happened to get on the court, there would possibly be 3 former high school teammates on the floor at the same time. Sky Clark played right next to Jalen Hood. They played next to each other a lot, actually. And I think Sky got hurt some, and it forced Jalen to play point. He's more of a 2, but it's just going to be fun watching all this young talent. The Big Ten is. I don't think that there's a conference that's stronger than this league is this year.
Yeah, it's tough to say right now because it's so early, and nobody's been punched in the mouth yet. Because that's what I want to see. When teams get punched in the mouth, can they get up off the mat? And obviously that's a thing that everybody has to take in. And when you got new players, you got freshmen, they're going through it for the first time. And I was a freshman starting in the Big Ten. That's a trial by fire.
And when you were doing it, that was a rough time too, man. That league was loaded.
Freshmen didn't play that much back then.
No.
So now they're expecting freshmen to come in and not miss a beat. So that's going to be interesting.
Trying to think the year you missed playing against Mike Woodson, right? You were.
Yeah, I was older. I mean, I'm
younger.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But that would have been pretty cool. We're here at the Target Center in Minneapolis. 2 years from now, we could be, I don't know, somewhere in Los Angeles with the addition of USC and UCLA.
And I ain't mad about it.
I wouldn't be mad about that. I would definitely trade that for being up here in Santa's workshop. But I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the addition of USC and UCLA? And I'm sure that eventually there's going to be something else. But right now it's USC and UCLA. And UCLA, just the tradition of adding that to this league.
Yeah, no, I think it's a huge get for the Big Ten. And look, let's call it what it is. These conferences are gobbling up TV markets. And when you have the opportunity to lock down the number
Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C.
There it is. And so if the SEC and the Big Ten are going to expand like we keep hearing, then Atlanta, Miami, these other markets are going to be very favorable, right? And so we'll see what happens. But, I find it fascinating to watch all the movement and all the change. And, it looks like we're going to 2 heavyweights, Big Ten and SEC. So I love the fact that the UCLA and USC joined the Big Ten because I thought Texas was a little premature. I thought Texas had a better fit in the Big Ten than they did in the SEC.
Yes.
But I think what you said, Jim, in terms of it's not over yet. I believe Oregon and Washington will join in the mix at some point.
Seattle
market, right? And so if we look at television markets, that's probably where they'll go.
I don't want to go to Portland again, though. We had to go there last year for the tournament. That was not fun. That's a long trip. But looking forward to all the newness that's come along. Can you imagine when you were playing, if they had NIL, you could have been doing those food shows at every place, not only getting it for free, getting paid for it, and maybe getting your own dishes, the Stephen Bardo, whatever. What is your favorite type of food? Do you have a favorite type of food?
My mom's cooking.
Well, that is a
great answer.
Smart and quick answer. Man, I would not have been that quick.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Before Steven goes, I got to ask, what does he think of Brett Bielema getting the Illini up and running here? 5-1 through the first 6 games.
Dustin Schutte, my co-host, you can't hear him, unfortunately, from outsider.com, asking a great question. Thoughts on Brett Bielema getting the Illini up and rolling off? I mean, holy crap, they're fighting for the Big Ten West Championship.
Yeah, it's been fun to see. And the way that they've been able to win, they go to Wisconsin, they put up 27 points. They come back home against Iowa, they only score 9 points, still find a way to win. So it's been a lot of fun. I think Josh Whitman needs to get a lot of credit, the athletic director of Illinois, because the 2 hires that he's made, Brad Underwood had experience at Western Illinois for 9 years as an assistant. He knew what the Illini nation would do if they were to win. Brett Bielema is an Illinois native. So these 2 coaches understand the culture of the state of Illinois and the Illini nation, and the fact that Bielema's come in and done such a great job right now, take advantage of it. It's a huge game this weekend versus Minnesota, so we'll see if the Illini can keep it rolling.
They've been a surprise. He's undoubtedly going to be coach of the year. The weird loss to Indiana, which I guarantee is just will burn his butt all year. He'll be so mad. I understand. That would just drive you crazy. But a hell of a job they're doing, and they may end up in a Rose Bowl or something. How crazy would that be?
Well, it's still early now.
I know, but I'm just saying they're playing well, man. I mean, I look over the Big Ten West and I'm like, they're playing as good as anybody. I mean, they've already beaten the two teams that most of us would have thought was going to win it. I think they've yet to play Purdue. That'll probably be a tough game. Right. And ultimately could decide who wins the Big Ten West.
Yeah. No, it's going to be fun to see. And, in Illini Nation, we don't get football teams that, what are we, 5-1 right now or something like that? We don't get these type of starts, so we'll celebrate it as it is.
Preaching to the choir, man. Yeah. Preaching to the choir. Mr. Bardo, I cannot thank you enough. It was great talking to you again. Great to see you again. I hope you have a enjoyable time here at the Santa's Workshop, and that he gives you a toy on the way out. I'm messing. I'm rumbling it in. I'm not my favorite selection of or where we go to. I like being in Indianapolis, of course. That's being selfish. I live in Indiana.
It's all good.
And Mr. Burton, you bringing him around? Is he interning for you? What's he doing for you, man?
I just want to give Noah a chance to look around. Noah Burton is the son, or his father, I should say, is Willie Burton, the former great Minnesota Gopher. And this is Noah here. Say hi, Noah.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Noah.
And Noah's a great track athlete. So he didn't pick up the round ball, but he is as good in track and trying to figure out his next move after college, graduating. And so I wanted to bring Noah with me and kind of give him a sense of what Big Ten Media Day looks like.
Well, you're with a great one here and one that absolutely knows what he's doing. So you're in great hands. Stephen, again, thank you, sir. I appreciate you so much. Okay. The great Stephen Bardo, former Illini great, BTN analyst as well. Fortunate for him to joining us here this morning on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Johnny boy, where are we on time?
Let's break.
All right, we're going to take a break. And later we'll be talking to Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson coming to you from the 2022 Big Ten Basketball Media Days at the Target Center in Minneapolis. Brought to you by our good friends from Metalworks Brewing Company, where they take their passion for beer, craft metal art, and a desire to be a part of the community very seriously. Stop by. They're right off the square in Bloomington. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Hey, this is John.
That may be the most coincidental thing to ever happen for me on the show. That was so weird.
What happened?
We were talking about the announcer stuff, and right before you brought Stephen Bardo on, I was starting to talk about him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, here he comes!"
You were talking about Stephen Bardo?
Yeah,
we were talking. Well, I was like talking about current announcers that I like.
That's weird.
And I was mentioning, I was like, a lot of Indiana fans don't like this guy. Thank God I didn't say that, and he couldn't hear. You just look at Twitter whenever he's calling an Indiana game, and you'll understand. But I'm not saying it's justified because I like the guy.
They probably, for one thing, he was on that team that beat their ass.
That's probably why. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it.
Yep. By the way, Five Left's made a comment earlier ago. We were talking about the club process.
Is this the microphone you're hearing me on?
No.
Five Left's made a comment that Reggie pushed off.
You're not hearing me on this microphone.
Move it away from you and say something.
Hold on. I'm going to mute this. Okay. God dang it.
All I'm saying, Five Lefts, is you got 6 championships. Game 4 is all I have, so let it go.
Nothing. You're muted now.
Can't hear you.
Hey, whenever you're unable to unmute yourself, what's the? I mean, I know you don't really know, I guess, but what is the potential ETA for Trace and Race and whoever's supposed to join you?
It's
right now,
minus 2 seconds.
Look at me! Yeah, look at all these coincidences. We're under a minute, by the way.
Look at that jacket.
Oh, don't worry.
Look at that.
Yeah, Tracy gets in here so we can get a great shot of that coat.
I got to take a picture, screenshot this. Oh, wait, I can't. Dang it. Screenshot it for me, John, and send it to me.
Just take a picture with your phone. I don't even know if I can do this.
How far
We got about 30 seconds.
There we go.
Seconds out. Okay, thanks.
All right, I'll go ahead and bring us back.
Covers your green fees for the next 2 years at Eagle Point. It includes tee times starting as early as up to 10 a.m. with 1 week in advance tee time books. You just cover your card fees. Now, there is a limited number of memberships available, so go to eaglepoint.com right now and get yours today.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Make sure you stop in. Great place to catch an IU game or meet up with friends for lunch. We're coming to you from the 2022 Big Ten Basketball Media Days and at the Target Center in Minneapolis, joined now by Trace Jackson Davis, the preseason player of the year, and Race Thompson, all Big Ten performers as well. First of all, got to go every year at Media Days, whether it's football or basketball. The dress is a topic of discussion. You may have topped it, man. TJD's got the candy stripes on. Of course, that custom made recently, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Not too many of those. Did you get the rights on that and say they couldn't make any more of those?
I mean, I should have. I'm gonna let them live. If they want to copy my style, they can go ahead.
Big Ten Media Days. You've been here before. Last year, you guys were the first year with Coach, and now you're coming as the favorite. Big turnaround. First of all, how is that for you mentally when you know you guys are the hunted?
I think for me, just coming in here last year with a brand new team, a brand new coach, we didn't really know what our expectation was. Obviously, we set them for ourselves, but coming in here this year and knowing what our expectations are, I think is huge. And having pieces around us, having guys come in like the freshmen, and then having guys return like me, Maurice, and X, and almost our whole starting five is back. You come in with high expectations, and so we got a chip on our shoulder, but we got to take it one day at a time, one practice at a time.
You've had plenty of accolades this season, chosen as preseason player of the year. How do you block all that noise out and focus on what is at hand, what your goals are?
I think for me, just focusing on getting better every day, listening to the coach and what he has to say, and then being around my teammates. They always keep me grounded, keep me level-headed, go at me in practice, trying to get me better. So just going against those guys every day, it's going to pay dividends when we play out on the court, and then I can prove myself and actually earn that. Because right now it's just a honor. It's kind of what they think is going to happen, but you still got to go out and prove it.
Race has got to be kind of special for you, not only your senior year last time around here, but to get to have media days at Minnesota. You're probably one of the few that's happy about that.
Yeah, no, that's good to be home.
What is it like to have that here? And I know family is not coming to this event, but to know that you are in the state where you actually came from.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I got to see my brother last night. Me and Trace got haircuts last night. I feel like I'm at home, like I know where everything is. So I mean, it's definitely good to be home.
Basketball, the Big Ten, of course, is going to be a juggernaut this year. Not only Indiana, but Illinois, Michigan, Purdue. It's very deep. It's going to be a hard season. In addition to that, you've got a great preseason schedule with Arizona and playing at Kansas and North Carolina at home. That is got to be. It's going to be a great challenge, but that has to be something really great to look forward to.
Yes, I think that just our off-season schedule is a juggernaut, and then with the Big Ten, it's hard to say because you got guys last year like Keegan Murray and Johnny Davis who just appear on the scene. They said the same thing about the conference last year, how it's not going to be as deep. and because like Luka Garza and Ayo Dosunmu leaving, and then guys like that just show up out of nowhere. So I expect the same thing to happen this year. So you can't take any of our opponents lightly, and I'm just ready to get started and play, honestly.
And you guys have added, obviously, 4 new freshmen, Jalen Hood-Schifino, one of those. A lot of high accolades for him, chosen as freshman of the year. What's it been like practicing with those guys, getting them integrated into what you're all doing?
I think just Jalen, he's so mature for how old he is. You would think that he's a junior or senior, just the way that he plays, the way that he carries himself. And it shows on the court because he's a really solid point guard. He has really solid vision and IQ, and he's going to do a lot and help our team a lot.
And Race, another year for you, a solid year last year. What are you looking forward to this year as far as your own growth?
I mean, just really getting back out there and playing. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Be able to stretch the floor a little bit better this year. We're still sticking to the bread and butter, playing inside out. So that's really what I'm looking forward to, is just being able to have a deeper team and some team overall that's better.
And while Trace gets a lot of the attention, does that help you because you're a double-digit scorer, so they can't ignore you. But with him getting that attention, does that help you in some ways?
Yeah, definitely. But he makes the game easy for all our teammates. He draws a lot of attention, and he's an unselfish player. So when he gets double teamed, he's looking to either get away from the double or score through the double, or most of the time he's passing out of the double team and getting someone an open look. So hopefully this year you can continue to do that. And I think we'll have something special.
What's the biggest difference, Trace, you've seen in this team over last year's team as the season is about to begin?
Just how hungry we are. Last year we kind of didn't know what to expect. We didn't really play that much with each other. I think knowing everyone's games and like how to play with each other, and the competitiveness in practice, and how it's we have 2 really starting fives. Honestly, we got 2 like almost platoon subbing where one day our team will win, the next day the other team will win. So the competitiveness in practice is huge for us, and I think that's going to carry over when we start playing against other people, because I think we're tired of playing against each other.
And you've got guys like Tamar Bates, who's coming back for a second year, so obviously he's going to have growth. Malik Raynaud, what's it been like going against him, Race, in practice?
He's definitely tough to guard. Big, strong, great footwork. Great player overall. It's a lot of fun to go against him. Makes the competition, like Trace was saying, competition in practice has never been this high since I've been here. So I think that's something that's really going to help us. But Malik he'll be a really good player for us this year, and I'm excited for everybody to get to see that. And
CJ Gunn, another Indiana kid like yourself, what's it been like seeing him out on the court?
It's crazy because when I look at them, I don't think of them as freshmen. Just because all of them are so mature, and I think that's another big part of our team. I think our defensively, CJ is about 6'6", and he's super long. Same thing with Caleb Banks, and I just think on the defensive end we're going to be hard to guard because we're so long from top to bottom. So I just think that it's going to be great for us, and it's great playing against them. Just because, just like you usually look at a freshman, you can pick on them, but they hold their own really well. So I love it, honestly.
What's the biggest thing, Race, you guys think as a team you've learned from last year to this year that's going to translate into last year, the games there were so many games you could look at, it's like, oh my God, there was just this and there's just this. What has changed that you think will prevent those things?
I think it's just like the attention to detail, like that extra 2 feet, that everyday mindset where you can't come in and not have a day that's just like, I'm just going to get through the day. I think every day we look each other in the eyes and we say we're going to get better today. So I think that's one of our main things, just really focusing on taking everything day by day and just working on getting better every single day.
Trace, what would winning a Big Ten championship mean to you? Not to just to yourself personally, but to be able to basically bring that back around. It's been a minute since Indiana has won a Big Ten title, and that seems like that's almost a personal goal of yours to bring that to the school.
Absolutely. Individual accolades only get you so far, but at the end of the day, it's all about the championships that you win for the university, and I think that's huge for me. Just having real expectations coming in and just trying to live up to those, I think is huge. I think it's going to be a really fun year. But at the end of the day, it's been about 5 to 6 years since we even got a Big Ten championship, and this program should be winning them left and right. So trying to carry on that legacy and just coming in there, trying to win one and trying to build a foundation of what to expect and what to do in the future of how we should play.
And you got a taste of NCAA play last year. You guys worked hard at the end. You got in, but that's just like a taste. Like I said, what is the goal? What is the desire this year?
The desire is obviously we're going to start out. We're going to take our games one game at a time, but we want to compete for a Big Ten championship. And obviously, if we're competing for a Big Ten championship, that means we're top of the conference, and they're projected to probably try to compete for a national championship. And so those two things go hand in hand. But it starts out with the Big Ten, but obviously you got to take it one game at a time. So that's what we're going to do.
Looking very much forward to it. Trace Jackson Davis, preseason player of the year, all Big Ten performer, Race Thompson. Can't thank you guys enough. Have fun at these. Do you enjoy doing this stuff?
Yeah, I enjoy it for the most part. I think it's cool just to see everyone kind of get familiarized. It kind of gets you ready for basketball season, seeing some familiar faces. So, but I'm just having fun with it.
And there's not a lot of places that you can wear that coat.
Exactly.
So that is. You're gonna have to let me borrow that one time for a show. I'm gonna borrow that for a show one time. I will have it dry cleaned and everything. But man, that is the bomb.
Yes, sir.
Cannot thank you enough. Race Thompson and Trace Jackson Davis joining us here at the Target Center. Well, good luck, guys. Have fun and get back to school and start practicing. Thank you, man. We appreciate it so much. And thanks to Indiana SIDs as well, like I said, for making all this happen. It is a fun time here at the Target Center. Look at that. Oh, I got to get over it. That's just check that out. I mean, that's a coat now.
But now, there are also candy striped pants involved?
Romeo had his on the inside. If you recall, when didn't he have candy stripes when he got drafted on the inside?
Draft day, yes.
Yeah, that is cool. He said, "The hell with that, baby." I mean, I'll get a picture later. I hope. You know what? Oh, I should have got a picture then, but we were still on the air. When's the break time, John?
Now, if you want it to be.
Okay, I didn't know. So I had to take them to a certain time. So, all right. You're listening to us coming to you live from the Target Center as Mike Woodson is actually on the dais right now, as you can see over my shoulder, speaking at Big Ten Media Days here at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we're going to about take a break. I'll walk in there for a second, listen to him, and then I'm going to come back right back out. But brought to you by our good friends at Cabello Restaurant, located right on the square in Bloomington on the north side. Looking at some highlights right now. There's Trace Jackson throwing it down, baby. Cabello Italian Fare, the taste and traditions of Southern Italy, right here in Southern Indiana at Cabello on the Square. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you live from the Big Ten Basketball Media Days in Minnesota.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
Hey, since he got up, and I don't know that he needs to hear me say this, so I'm gonna relay the info to you in case something happens. So let me go ahead and tell you what I need to tell you real quick. So when he comes back, if it's mid-segment, which I'm assuming it might be, I'm going to pop out to use the restroom. And if he calls for me to say something and I'm not back, let him know that I had to go do something. Just let him know. You'll have to say it over the air unless he brings it up. But I don't think I'm going to be able to tell him that I'm going to be out. So just let him know in case he calls my name. Or if he calls my name, just tell him I'll be back shortly.
All right, gotcha.
I've been having to. We don't need to say this over the air, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I gotcha. Oh man, when we do these remotes with guests, I should just not be on.
Well, especially I don't know why his setup is the way that it is, but usually it's where everybody can hear everybody. But that's not the case today. He doesn't have his headset.
I was gonna say it's better. People want to hear the people he's had on. But I'm just sitting.
But the
here,
audio quality is subpar.
Right. Well,
that's
I'm just
the only issue.
Right, and on my end, I'm just sitting here. So,
today just feels very. Like it snuck up on everybody, honestly.
I'm going to be honest, not being in it, I had no idea today was Big Ten Media Days.
I didn't until last night because Jim texted me, or both Mike and Jim asked me. They're like, Mike was like, "Is Jim going to be on site?" And I was like, "Oh shoot, tomorrow's Big Ten Media Days." And then Jim texted me asking if Mike was going to be there.
Yeah. Oh, Mike's always there.
Yeah.
I think for football media days, I'm going to try to get those 2 days off this year.
Go next year.
And go just as ISB, and then just do. It would be so fun to just do it as radio on my part, not have to worry about getting stories.
Yeah. Is it Dave Revson who just walked past us? I couldn't really get a face look, but it kind of looked like Dave Revson.
I was just going to getting freaking bugs down here in Florida never die.
That's right, Tebow and 5 less. I'm not going to say that over the air, but you know what's up. All right, good timing.
There you go,
Jim.
There he goes.
Hey, Jim, we've got 10 seconds. I'm going to be missing for the first couple of minutes of this segment, just FYI.
What's that?
Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back to the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota for the 2022 Big Ten Basketball Media Days, men's and women's. We've spoken with Mike DeCourcy, Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson, Stephen Bardo.
What a lineup.
And Dustin Schutte.
What a great lineup, except for me. The other guys, that's who the people want to hear.
I mean, we're killing it for you, people. That's what we do, man. That's what we do. I think that the Hoosier.com and Indiana Sports Beat Radio are the only IU media here.
Nice.
I haven't confirmed that, though. I've not got to spend much time inside.
Well, yeah. And I mean, you got we had the Indiana had their media days a few days ago, but you get exclusive access. That means to those guys, to Mike Woodson, to Terry Morin, just publicly, right on out there. JTP has been called out.
I will have Woody. I don't know if I'm going to get him live or not, but we'll see. It doesn't matter if it's live or if it's MemberX, right?
That's right. We'll get it we'll get it up there tomorrow.
I would prefer it live because I don't have a tripod with me. But I can just do it right here. Perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
You still got a good setup.
If you only knew, this stuff's not easy, folks, peeps.
No.
Not easy. Yesterday, get up, do the show. Pete, my friend, said, it sounded like about halfway through the show you remembered that you had to fly out to this, and there was something else that my MRI.
MRI, yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah, it was because I had completely spaced it. So I go to the press conference first, though. I go to the IU football press conference first. So
Oh, you did go?
Oh, yes. I haul butt to that. Woo! I was at the press conference. I leave the press conference. I go straight to the facility to get the x-rays and then the MRI. And said, hey, I got to be out of here by X. And I got out of there right at that time. Boom, straight to the airport. And I walked up to my gate as they were boarding.
Wow.
Timing,
talk
baby.
About timing. I was just going to say,
timing.
Talk about impeccable timing. He's got it.
Living on the edge, baby. Living on the edge. So
I like it.
Thoughts on Race Thompson and Trace Jackson Davis? I didn't see a lot. Has there been comments about what they had to say?
It seems like a lot of people were excited about the jacket. That got plenty of love.
Well, I went and got it. I had to go get a picture with that jacket.
Well, of course.
And I did. So I'm happy about that.
I think what I liked most about that was, Trace Jackson Davis saying, this is a priority for us to win a Big Ten championship. And if we're a Big Ten champion, that means we're in the hunt probably for a Final Four, because as we talked about, the Big Ten don't know what to expect. Unknown has been the key word heading into this season. But you figure if you're at the top of the conference, you're probably going to be a Final Four type of team. And so the expectation, they're not backing away from it. And Mike Woodson said during the Indiana Media Day, look, if you're afraid to be on that big stage, if you're afraid of Big Ten championships and Final Fours and national titles, then you're at the wrong place. And so
right, baby.
His message is obviously trickling down to the senior leaders. And when you get it to your senior leaders and they embrace that type of role and those expectations, then that trickles down to some of the younger guys that you were talking about, Malik Rayneau, Jalen Hood-Schifino, CJ Gunn, some of the other guys. And then, any additional players through the transfer portal. So it's good to see that this is a program that has completely embraced Mike Woodson's goals, his mentality. I just think that's really good sign for him to say that. And then obviously Race Thompson confirming, individual accolades don't mean anything if we don't bring championships back to Bloomington.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. I changed to an adapter, and that will help when Coach Woodson gets here. So, or if he, obviously just making it all great. Just making sure. Yeah, I wish you could see this picture, man. First of all, the jacket, but forget about the jacket. I'm 6'1", okay? I'm not, I'm not tall, super tall, but I'm not short. When I was taking off, it was like, I was looking to my left and looking to my right, and I'm like, because I got Trace and Race on each side, and
right.
I'm gonna post it, but
there you go. Wow, yeah.
I mean, look at that.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite the size difference.
I'm 6'1". And yeah, wow. I got screwed in life.
Well, I'm 5'8", so let's not talk about that.
I would be a basketball god or something if I had that. Man,
if you were
wouldn't that be
tall,
cool? Wouldn't that be cool to have
for just like a week to be that tall?
No, not a week.
I just want to know what it's
like. Baby.
Hey, you know what? I'm not picky. I just 6 foot is. I would love to have been 6 foot.
Yeah,
but
I'm grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. That's.
I can't. Oh well.
I wish that I could see. This is why I hate not being in there. There's so much more that you capture and do, and from this. But oh well, can't complain. It is what it is.
We've had plenty of great guests.
Oh yeah, well we're going to continue doing that. But I like it to be even better, to be perfect.
Yeah,
like right now. I think the Big Ten is going to be. I'm trying to think how many losses will the Big Ten champion have this year. This
4 or 5.
Man,
you think more?
Definitely over and under. That's what we have to set. The over and under. Yeah. There's no way that the over and under is not at.
I would say
4.5.
I was going to say either 4 or 4.5 would be the over under.
4.5.
Because I don't think there's anybody. This is what I would get
First
to.
Of all,
like,
who can get through this league losing only 4 times?
Right.
First of all, you got to think. You got to play Michigan probably twice. You got to play Illinois. You got to play Purdue. You got to play.
Penn State's going to be a lot better. I mean, well, but what I'm saying is they're not as good. But I'm saying the floor is elevating.
It's you have to play those road games,
right? That's what I'm saying.
So
I mean, it's
to get through that and only man. I'd say it's got to be 5. I'd say I'm going to say it's 5. They have 5 loss. It's a 5-loss championship this year.
I think that's a good total. Because I don't think, as much as we've talked about Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan being the top 3 teams in the Big Ten, I don't think there's as much of a gap between the top and the middle as there has been in the past. Now, I still think the bottom is going to be, like, I don't know about Nebraska, I don't know about Northwestern, but I think overall it's going to be a very competitive league, maybe 1 through about 10 or 11.
I don't know about that. The last 3 are definitely Nebraska, Rutgers, and Northwestern. Yeah,
Mike Gundy right there.
I'm just saying. So that's pretty deep, though. I mean, that is 11 deep. So
yeah, that's what I think.
I think the 9th, 10th, and 11th team can be dangerous on the road, especially. But we've seen. I mean, yeah, we'll see.
It's college basketball, man. Anything can happen.
I think that it's going to be. I think 5-loss champion. Personally,
I like it. I would take 4. I would take 4 losses, but I don't think it's going to be 2 loss or 3 loss. I think you're going to see at least 4 losses, if not more. I wouldn't be surprised 5, maybe even 6.
Well, a great piece to read is in the Athletic, the unofficial official poll, because he talks about Brendan Quinn talks about all the teams, and it's pretty funny. He's like, yeah, well, I get this wrong all the time too, though, but it's a good piece, and I agree. It's just going to be. Illinois is, to me, going to be the biggest challenge to Indiana to win the Big Ten championship, I think. I think Brad Underwood is so underrated. It's not that I'm a fan of his. He gets it done, man.
He does. I think on paper you're right, but I'm interested because you've mentioned a couple times Wisconsin. Somehow you look on paper and they should never be in contention, and then Greg Gard does a great coaching job. They're up there. Fran McCaffrey has developed some consistency at Iowa. Purdue tends to be in the top 5 of the Big Ten on a yearly basis. Chris Holtmann, you can never count them out. I mean, there's Tom Izzo, Michigan State. They haven't forgotten how to win. Michigan's going to have some big players. So this league, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a dark horse team out there. And Stephen Bardo brought up Maryland. That's a great example. I'm probably not as high on Maryland because of the coaching change, because of some of the unknowns there. But there are a lot of teams that I think you could see a dark horse this year be at the top, and I wouldn't be too surprised by that because it's just how deep this league is. The transfer portal has completely changed the game. You got so many good – I think the Big Ten in terms of football and basketball is one of the best coached leagues in America, if not the best. So it's just – it's a grind, man. Mike DeCourcy talked about it. When you're trying to play 20 Big Ten conference games, and then on top of that, you look at Indiana playing, as we mentioned a million times, Kansas, Xavier, North Carolina, Arizona. It's a grind, man. It's going to be tough. They're going to be huffing and puffing by the time that first week in March rolls around when they close out the regular season and go into the Big Ten tournament.
Keegan Nicholson from the Hoosier.com actually here with me as well, sitting in. Spin that around a little bit. Keegan, he's been out jumping around. We plugged this other deal in, but how's it going out there?
It's going good. Woodson and Morin were just at the stage talking. A lot of really great stuff from them. I think the most significant thing that Woodson mentioned was that he said that Jalen Hochefina has been kind of working out with the 1s and 2s, just trying to find the combination that works best for him. So the true freshman preseason player of the year talk is not in vain at all. And it looks like he could have a ginormous impact on this Indiana team like a lot of people expected.
Yeah, Trace was just here with me, and he talked about
the maturity of Jalen, and he's I can't believe he's a freshman. He seems like he's a junior, and he talked about how much of an impact he's expecting him to have. And I hate to drive a hype train, but when I went down and saw him last year, I mean, those guys are playing at a different level. They're playing, that's pre-college, basically, what they're doing. And on top of that, though, they're smart kids. They're intelligent, first of all, but they have great basketball IQ as well. Used to playing in tough environments against tough opponents all the time. So he may be one of the best additions Indiana's made in quite some time.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how long he's here, depending on how good of a year he has this year. I'd love to see him have multiple seasons and try to get a championship under his belt as best as he could, but might just be too good.
Indiana women picked to finish second.
Yeah.
So that's a first ever. You got the men's and the women's both picked in the top 2 in the conference. So good for them. But did the women speak?
Yeah. Terry Morin was up
there. I know Terry Morin was, but I meant like
the players.
Grace Berger, or did any players come?
They don't start until 11.
Gotcha. Just curious. I've been looking at Kevin Warren. Anything that came from him of note?
I think my one tweet that's getting the most traction is he talked about the new media deal being the most complex and comprehensive in all of college athletics that any college athletics has ever seen. And he had a little tidbit where he said it's about producing content from ages 5 to 105. And then people were like, so if you're 106 years old, you can't watch Big Ten. And if you're 0 to 4, you can't watch Big Ten. But he had a lot of good stuff. Talked about further expansion, saying that his biggest focus right now is just trying to get UCLA and USC in flawless. So it was interesting.
I had Stephen Bardo on earlier, and I said, 2 years from now, we could be doing this in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's another thing you mentioned.
And he's like, I wouldn't hate it.
I would.
I wouldn't. You're up here at the North Pole. You'd rather be at the North Pole?
I'd rather be in Minneapolis than Los Angeles. I can definitively say that.
What in the hell 100%. Is wrong? What is wrong with you? Why?
We're not going to get into why I don't like Los Angeles right now. I think there are a lot of reasons not to like Los Angeles.
I'm just saying it would be.
It's 70 degrees here, dude.
Today. But wait till you come back for the men's basketball tournament.
I think,
in March of in 24? No, where is it?
It's the year after this year is here in Minnesota.
24.
But I don't
It'll
think
be
media
10
days.
degrees.
I don't think media days will ever be out there, but I do think the tournament will end up being in places like Vegas, Phoenix, and LA eventually.
Oh God!
I don't think media days.
Now, why Phoenix?
Phoenix, just because it's West Coast and it's a huge market.
Well, but it's not a. I just meant there's no team there. In LA, you'll have UCLA and there's usually a team close by that is, but.
I mean, usually the teams in the Big Ten are close by each other, and look what happened now.
Yeah. So that's out the window.
Yeah.
What's up next?
Got a little bit of a break before the individual podium press conferences. Going to get to see Woodson in a scrum, and then Trace and Race in a scrum. Those are going to be pretty long. I think they're 30 minutes each. So
have you seen Trace?
That's the coolest suit I've ever seen in my life. I saw one tweet of Indiana and Big Ten Network. So
that's a good looking jacket.
You look like you're 5'6".
I know. That's what we've been saying. I'm like, I'm 6'1", and they make me look short.
Yeah.
People are gonna go, man, how tall is? What is he? 4'5"? I almost said it, and I didn't. Caught myself. All right, brother. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. Where are we on a break, John?
We're almost at the end of the show.
Oh, we are?
2 minutes left.
See, this time's got me all jacked up. Well, all right. So hopefully we'll have Mike Woodson for you on tomorrow's show. Looking forward to that. But you can't complain about today. I cannot thank Mike DeCourcy enough. Of course, Stephen Bardo, Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson, Dustin Schutte, Keegan Nicholson from thehoosier.com. Make sure you give him a follow because he is covering everything here for IU right now at thehoosier.com and Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Make sure you keep following us. We'll keep putting out the content for you here from 2022 Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Thanks a lot to John, the producer, of course, and most of all, thanks to you guys. Without you, we have no reason to be here, although we still have another minute to go, don't we, John? I don't want to cut out too soon. Minute and a half. Well, see, I almost timed it. There goes my timing. It's out the door. So maybe hit a few comments. What did Jennifer say? Warren, yes, I wish I'm gonna agree with that second part. Ross said, Warren said the tournament would move around the country. Keegan is a good kid. Yes. Keegan, the man. Boy, you're getting all kinds of love here. You got to go. John, the producer, you need more fiber. That's apparently been something I've learned today as well. So.
Yeah, there's some behind the scenes action from earlier in the show.
I hope everyone had a good time today, though, as we brought everything from you from Big Ten Basketball Media Days. We're back here tomorrow, even though today is IU's day, but we'll see what all the coverage we can get tomorrow and do it again. So until then, I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. And I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.